Hello and welcome back to everyone that's tuned in to the American Ultra Stock channel. Unfortunately, the USMNT loses to Canada 2-1 in Kansas City. Today, I'm bringing to you guys our match reaction. Unfortunately, I'm riding solo this time around. Braden was solo during some videos as well during the week, and we're going to have a video together talking about the transfer window, rating those transfers that happened or did not happen. Stay tuned for that. But for today, I have to give the match reaction on what was catastrophe, not catastrophe because it's a friendly at the end of the day, but a very, very underwhelming and concerning result for the US. And not only just the result, but also the performance. We often say that friendlies aren't just all about the results, although they are important, I think, more than ever for us now since they're all we're going to have until the World Cup. But we did lose, and I think that we deserve to lose. So, just to give you guys a heads up on the structure of the video, I'm going to give you guys right here my initial thoughts. We're going to go into player ratings as well. I'm going to cite Braden's player ratings as well that he sent me, and at the end, my thoughts and takeaways from this game. So, initial thoughts are we deserve to lose. Very, very bad match, underwhelming, no volume. And Canada was just the more threatening side. And Jesse Marsh gets to have the last laugh. I believe he really wanted that win. You could tell just by the way that he's been coming out and his criticism of the U.S. players as well, which I think some of it's deserved. Some people are hyping him up. Do I think that he would have been a better coach than Poch? Absolutely not. Would have he been better than Greg? I think they're almost like for like. I think he's more qualified, definitely. But the way that he likes to play, I don't know if it suits our game. But regardless, he gets that victory, which I'm sure he will savor. He says that he's half Canadian these days. And well, I'm sure that all the Canadian fans enjoy that one. It's very sour to take for any USMNT fan to have that banter until we play them again. I'm sure we're bound to play them again. They don't have any opponents as well until the World Cup. But for now, Jesse Marsh gets one over us. And diving into the player ratings, really, these are very tough. Starting with Patrick Schulte, who it's crazy. We lost to Canada 2-1, but I think that he was one of the bright spots. Kept us in the game, really. It might be the new starter. I like that he got the opportunity ahead of Turner. We need to move on from Turner. Do I think that Schulte is the next guy? I don't really think so, but he has done more than Turner did at his time in the MLS, which is the only thing that warranted him to be a starter for us in the first place. He was always a bench at Arsenal, bench at Forest. He's going to get the triple crown right now, being a bench at Palace, so we needed someone new. I think that Gaga going forward will be the main guy. Just as a disclaimer, some of you guys may know, but League One for Barnsley, they don't really stop during the international breaks. These are friendlies. I don't think that Barnsley is going to necessarily be keen on him leaving. I don't think that he will be too keen on leaving and possibly leaving his position up for grabs. So I completely understand him not being included here. So we had Schulte, and he did well. Kept us in the game, made some good saves. I'll give him a 7 out of 10, 7.5 maybe. He made some really good saves and did well. So moving on right here to the outfield players, which is when the sadness starts. Scally, very quiet. I mean, Scally, we know. I think that he thrives if the opposition is more is flashier. I know that he was going up against Davies and that side of Canada, but I don't think that he did too much. And I can't say he held his own. I'll give him a 4 out of 10, which is what Braden also agreed upon. So I think 4 out of 10 didn't do anything. Very, very quiet. He's a fullback, and ultimately we were vulnerable at times through that flank as well, which is going to bring me to Chris Richards. I think that he was, I don't know how to say this, but the best center back for sure, because Ream, we'll get onto that later, but I'll give him, Braden gives him a 3 right here. I think that I'll give him a 4. I think kind of like Scally, had some good moments, but overall, from a Premier League starting center back, a few too many gaps that he leaves there, hesitating a little bit to commit. And yeah, it needs to be more commanding. He is the guy to lead that back line, so needs to step up a little bit. We all need to raise the standards a little bit and expectations for some of these guys. Not, I know the media tries to play it down, but we do need to have standards and expectations for them. I'll give them a 4. Moving on right here to Team Ream, not much to say. Enjoy the retirements. What Braden put on his note right here, for me, it's about the same. I could kind of understand why he's playing, but then at the end of the day, what does he really bring? Is he going to play in 26? I sure hope not. Very old, very slow, and he's an MLS too, so he beats that term that he's still playing at a high level. He's in Charlotte, and I think we need to move on from him ASAP, ASAP. And on the left side, we had Christopher Lund, who Braden thought he gives him a 6.5. My rating for Lund would be more a 5.5. Had some good moments, trying to take on players. Uh, got his way out of trouble at times. Wasn't the perfect match. Gave the ball away a couple of times. But honestly, I think he still did himself justice to be in contention for future call-ups and to contend for that backup left back spot. Um, bench, obviously. So yeah, I think 5.5. I don't really know how to rate Lund. I would have to probably rewatch to have a concise rating right here for him. Moving on to the middle of the park. As many of you guys know, I've been very critical of Johnny Cardozo throughout the years, and he had a good spell at Betis last year. Got a lot of hype for the USMNT during the summer. Let's recap that horrible showing against Colombia. Very bad against Panama as well. As much as people won't look into that, they will overlook it because of that match was just completely insane. And then now, Johnny, I think truly atrocious performance. Really, so the lack of awareness, the lack of urgency, closing down players added nothing to the game. I'll give him a 0, a 0.5. He put the shirt on the right way. That's as much as I can say, and it pains me to say because I'd like to see him delivering some performances, but now I can kind of see why he's being benched at Betis if that's the level and intensity that he's bringing to the table. Absolutely shocking. He was supposed to be the 6th today. Horrible, horrible. And moving on to his partner in crime, which was Yunus Musa. This exact pairing, Johnny and Musa, is the pairing that started the capitulation. Not started, but when they were both together on the pitch, that's when capitulation against Colombia happened. And we saw today against a much lower level opponent in Canada, Musa didn't do anything to help either. I don't really know. I don't see anything that Musa does awfully wrong, but I don't see anything that he does right, really, other than the age that he has going for him. I mean, that's nothing at the final third. He's going to live off that crossbar hit against Brazil for a while. Had one great game against England more than 2 years ago. Valencia looks better without him. Does a few things here and there sometimes for Milan, but very concerning for the USMNT lately. I have to say that. So I'll give Musa 3. I agree with Braden right here. Moving on, those are really low, 0.5 and 3. But moving on to Malik Tillman, I'll be honest, I know that there were some moments that were almost promising. Braden noted right here that he under Poch, he could thrive if he has the opportunity. It seems like Girena got injured, so he's going to have a free run to try to get that role. But I'm not too convinced with that showing. I expected a little bit more, to be frankly honest, going up against Canada. I'll give Tillman a 4. I don't think I can give him more than that. Moving on to Brendan Aronson. And I would just say Brendan Aronson is one of the most overhated players in the pool. I think that's for sure. But then again, plays like that today, did he do anything awfully wrong? Not really, but he didn't really create. I would like to see something else, something more. Ran around, the tenacity, the work rate. We can't really fault that. He always brings that to the table, and I think that being so willingly voluntary for the team running kind of overshadows some of the good things in his game. People just label him as a workhorse, but then today, look at that game against the opposition. I think that he needed to do more. I'll give him about a 4 as well, just like Tillman. I'll perhaps contemplate a 3.5, but I'll give him a 4 right here. And moving on to Balogun. Balogun tried a few things. Almost had a really nice moment against Bombito, but I don't know. I think that the lack of games is going to hurt him. We played to his strengths, I believe, and that's something that Braden wanted to note as well. But he tried to make things happen, but ultimately you want more from your 9 in a game like that, and he wasn't clinical. He did have some chances, some half chances, and I just wish I could have seen more volume. And honestly, the club situation at Monaco, it really hurts his development, in my opinion. It's not going to work out there. I'll say it now, calling it today. I don't think that it's going to work out for one reason or another. The coach doesn't really rate him. He has the history. The fans still comment about that uh, game that he missed the pens against the fourth division club for a very embarrassing defeat in the Coupe de France. So I don't know. Balogun, I'll give him a 4. But he needs, and I'm not even going to fault him too much because it's not like there was crazy service in the match. But yeah, moving on right here to Pulisic, Christian Pulisic, our Captain America, the best player in the American pool. And unfortunately, I'll give him a 2. Raiden gives him a 3 right here. I expect so much more. And again, to be willing to run and grab the game by the scruff of the neck, like the British guys like to say, it needs to step up. Come on, he often is the guy that brings that spark and gets us out of trouble. But today, very bad match from him. And moving on now to the subs, very deflated making this video, but to give a credit right here, maybe a bright spark. I talked about Schulte maybe being one, but I think Aiden Morris, props to him. Props to the guy. I've been critical of him in the past a few times, but hey, you can't fault the heart that this guy has, and he's having a good time at Borough. Maybe he could find himself in the Premier League, and did himself justice today coming on. I think that he looked good, and I'm not gonna say it looked like he belonged. I mean, this is USMT against Canada, but he earned a call up. Braden says that if he does well in a start against New Zealand, he puts himself back in contention. They're still a young player, and I think that he showed a lot of grit and didn't really cost us in any way when in possession. So especially where he's at, he may have the capacity to be a USMNT, this rotational player. I don't know. I think that Morris is doing himself justice these days, and I'm happy with him. Even talking about him cheers me up a little bit right here. And I've been very critical of the guy in the past, so props to him for the match today. I'll give him, Braden gives him a 7.5. I'll give him an 8, really, for the time that he had on the pitch. Don't think he did too much wrong, really. Moving on to Luca de la Torre, who I'm happy that we provided him a safety net because he got transfer listed as Celta de Vigo, not having a good time there. But he did really well. Not only the goal was silky on the ball, a very good technical player. I wish he could find a club. Maybe going back to the Eredivisie could do him well. Brain gave him a 7. I'll give him a 7.5. Not just because of the goal, because the goal was it came by chance really, but I think that he did well. Showed some small techers here and there, and was good in possession. We definitely looked better with these two when they came on. And moving on to Haji Wright, I'll give him a 4. Braden gives him a 4.5, which I think is fair. I can understand that, but I think that at times he could have been a little bit more incisive in the final third. And moving on now to, so that's really not much to say for Haji. I didn't get that many minutes on the ball, but I'll give him a 4. Didn't do too bad. And moving on to Kate Cowell, it wasn't there for long enough, but I think that he looked horrible at the few times that he got called into play. I don't know what to say. I mean, I'll give him a 4 because he's a sub, but he looked really bad. Got called into camp last minute. Maybe that's the reason, but I don't know. It's rewarding his form in Mexico, so I think that's good. It shows that we're keeping a scope in everyone, but don't really think that Kyle is at this level right now. But going on right here to Pepe, who hopefully should start getting more minutes now that De Jong got injured. But I don't think that there's too much to talk about him. I think I'll give him a standard 4. Came on, didn't do anything wrong or right, but that's really it with the player ratings. Moving on now to the takeaways. My main takeaway, and this is, well, Braden wanted to put right here, if we want to give a rating to Mikey Var, is -1 because he thought that the starting lineup and the subs were a good thing that he did, but again, for me, that's just damage control. I said it before the game. We put Johnny and Moose out, we're gonna lose to Canada. I said that, and some people were clowning me for it. This is the result. I don't really have that much faith in those two guys, not as players for the USMNT. Their form, they barely play at their clubs. No, really bad. And yeah, I'll give Mikey Varas a 0. Really, if he goes to San Diego, come on, that's gonna be my team in MLS from San Diego, but. Anyways, moving on to the takeaways, I have to talk about him. I don't think that this performance really does any favors for any of these players when Poch comes in. And he's not a miracle worker. I think that there are some slight question marks onto how he's going to fix the squad. There's not much time. He has never coached at the international level. He's never coached any of these guys, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just very concerning because this is what we're going to have. And you're playing Canada, which is a rival, whether we like it or not. Some people like to downplay it. And these are the type of games we're going to have to prepare for the World Cup. And that's how we play. It's unbelievably unacceptable. I think that the future is not looking bright with these performances. Hopefully, Poch comes in and instills a no nonsense mentality. But and people say that, oh, these players, do they care? I get that, but do they need someone new to motivate them? The players should motivate themselves. It's absolutely insane that we had this type of performance. Close it out, and at least it can only go up from here because Copa America summer, I think that the Olympics brought some hope for a little while. We ultimately crashed out in bad manner. Then we had the U20s, really, really bad. So all the games were horrible. And then now back to the A team, and they're keeping it up with the form that they left Copa America. A ridiculous performance. A lot of these players are extremely overrated. I would like us for some of these guys to justify anything other than hype or age or being dual nationals. Not trying to be extremely harsh right here, but we need to reevaluate a lot of things. Hopefully, Ponch does that. And yeah, just very deflated doing this. But let me know what you guys think. Your player ratings, your thoughts on the match, your thoughts for the future, and if I was too harsh on any of these players. Just again, a disclaimer: if you watched this long enough, thank you so much. Please keep watching, subscribing, sharing it with your friends, leaving a like, and stay tuned because Braden and I have a video together coming out explaining that. Unfortunately, because of college and college for Braden and for my professional life, also for my education, trying to further things and grow, establishing a family. Been a little bit absent, but props to Braden for holding it all together. And stay tuned because we have that video, which is way more upbeat than this one. We're out. Thank you for tuning into American Ultra Stock, and we'll see you next time.